Go on then. Well, welcome to second part of Friday the 27th of March. So starting off from where we left off on the last video, they've now got somewhere nice and dry and comfortable to lay outside. They'll be happy. They'll be much happier when they go out. Still got to sort out how I'm going to deal with the bull and just logistics of having cattle here that shouldn't be here. We're off to the other farm sometime, well, hopefully this morning. I need to unlock the gates for the contractors that are coming this afternoon. This is the barn building, Baldwin's, the barn building contractors that are hopefully making a start on the groundworks next week. So fingers crossed, by the end of April, mid-May, we'll have a new barn built, which would be handy for me because I'm going to have to make a lot of my feedstuffs over at Itchington, and if we've got a nice hard surface and barn built over there for Cornat, it means I can store some of my winter feed over there. I'd have to bring at least a month's worth home, but it kind of means that it just gives us a few more options. So every yin has a yang, every cloud has a silver lining, and what don't kill you makes you stronger. Right, let's put this away. 10:30, time for a coffee. Okay, so no coffee for half an hour. Mrs. P is busy at the house. She's on remote duty today for Citizens Advice Bureau. I may have mentioned it before, may not. She's been working for a CAB, or Citizens Advice Bureau, for 12-13 years. Obviously all the CAB offices are shut now, so it's all being done by phones. So I think she's on supervisor duty today, so which is basically backup duty for everything else. So I've been told coffee at 11, not 10:30. She's busy. Lots of very, very worried people out there today, and I'm sure ever so many are taking advantage of the good folks at CAB. That is what they're there for, and they'll always try and help you out. But even they can't work miracles sometimes. So we're going to pop down. Well, I've got half an hour to kill. Let's see Matthew. Matthew's on the slitter today. Martin is off. My guys are still working, but we're doing what we would call remote works. So they're working out in the middle of parks and fields. We're doing some work for local estate actually, so nowhere near any other people. They're driving to work in separate vehicles, having their tea breaks in separate vehicles. Hello monsters. And yeah, the three amigos are outside now. So you had a bottle literally an hour ago, so not yet. So Martin's off today. We had to find something for Matt that could do by himself safely, and the idea was, well, he can drive my tractor. When he's finished, he's got to wipe it all down with disinfectant. Not too much disinfectant, I don't want to glue all my plastics in there, but it gives him something to do away from other people. He's completely isolated. He's in a tractor cab. He's safer than he is at home. So, will you stop knocking me about? God, they are little monkeys. Right, now I've got to get through this gate. Actually, I think I'll go over the fence because they might try sticking through the gate. Look, I'm just trying to get me leg. Ah, ooh, oh, my jaws. Right. You can stay that side. Pet lambs will follow you anywhere and everywhere, whether you want them to or not. So hopefully they can't get through there. Hopefully. So we've got a little bit of grass down here. So the sheep now have the middle paddock. They had the top short paddock for a couple of days, wasn't much in there. So now on the middle paddock, and then next week they'll come on to this one, which I'm hoping. I mean, we have got some grass out here now. There's what, 5-6 inches of grass out here. So there's a good nibble out here, but I don't know what it is about this particular piece of grass down here. I don't know if it's something to do with the trees or something in the ground, but they've never found this particular piece of grass very palatable. So when we have the lime spreading done, I'm going to make sure they spread this bit too. Maybe the ground's just a bit sour. So right, we're going to see what progress Matthew's made on the slitter. Well, it's certainly opening the ground up. We've got it set not quite so harsh as last year, but basically this is what we're doing. We're literally cutting slits in the earth every, what, 8 inches offsets, trying to get some air into the soil. This will help take some of that excess moisture out, but it's mainly to get air down to the roots of the grass. I'm hoping, the idea is we're slitting. We'll wait for the lime to come, so we're having 1 ton per acre spread over the whole of the farm down here, all 30 acres. That's 30 ton of lime, and fortunately looks like I got my order in just in time because the quarry's shut down. So if you haven't got your lime in order now, you're probably not going to get it. So I've got mine ordered, so that's going to come within the next week. Once the lime's on, we'll put the harrows over and just rattle everything about, knock all these little lumps and that about as well, and then when we harrowed it, then we'll put the roller over it. So depending on how hard the soil is or how dry the ground is will determine how much or if we put any water in the rollers or weigh it down. I don't think we're gonna have to put a lot of weight on it, to be honest. There's no big stones out here. I think this is just a case of, well, not only that, what's the point of opening the ground all up and then to put a heavy roller over it and shut it all down again? So all I want to do is just level it. So here we go. This is actually the worst piece of ground we've got. This was the field we actually last seeded, but it is nearly all moss. We've got a lot of grass seed coming, but that was what we ordered for last year and is going up Pigeon Mead. We're going to see how this reacts to lime and a bit of work, but I got a funny feeling. I mean, I'd like to plough it up and start again, but because we've got to graze everything, it's a yin and yang thing again. Is, can I afford to be without this 6 acres if the cattle are here all year? I mean, there's not a lot out here, but there's something. If I put it down to reseed it now, I won't be able to graze it for, well, quite a few months. So yeah, it's an inconclusive TB test. It's not just the initial losing of the cattle and everything, it's everything that knocks on after us. It's altered everything, and it's a pain. I don't want to get too close to that. I reckon that would hurt. I reckon I'd get the point. We've got a bit of a build up. I'll have to chuck that in the hedge. That comes off easy enough though, he says. Well, I'm finding it really easy. No effort for me whatsoever.
It's easier when it's wet.
Yeah.
Came done this morning.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Ah, lesson learned then.
Do it when it's wet.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the next lesson I would do is next time you do that,
Yeah.
I'd stick it in the hedge, so you could just chuck it straight in the hedge. That's what I would do. Every day's a school day.
Wear gloves.
Or wear gloves, yeah. Yeah. Don't you go contaminating my soil with that coronavirus, mate. You know, I don't want any sickly worms out here or nothing. Right, I'm gonna leave you to it. I'll go out to the farm. I'll see you later. So do this one, Avenue, Pigeon Mead. It should, hopefully it's dry enough.
This won't dry out,
Yeah. Well, this will make a big difference as well. This will help it. So yeah, it's only up to the left-hand side of the footpath on the top end.
Yeah.
And where that oak is, between the oak tree and the ash, there's a wet patch by the hedge. So you'll have to watch out for that. But I would do all of the left-hand side coming downhill.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, then I would go up this side, either go up and around and come downhill, so go around anti-clockwise. Because basically you're going uphill on the dry stuff and downhill on the wetter. So, okay. Right, have fun. Yeah. This ground has actually dried up quite well in the last week. Surprisingly well, but opening it up like this will definitely dry it up faster. The only downside you got to watch for slitting is if you don't roll afterwards and you come haymaking, there's always the chance. What's that? There's always the chance of picking a bit of contamination up in your bales, and you don't want that in your silage. You really don't. I know I've mentioned it before, these chaps want bailing out. That looks a bit manky in there. There's 2 pipes on here and 2 service boxes. There's a reason for that. One service box is mains water. The second service box comes off the back of the barn up there. There's a pair of great big galvanized tanks, and they collect the water off the roof. So depending on the time of year and how much rainwater we got and how much it's being, if it's being once this is emptied out, I'll fill it up with tap water, just to put some chlorine in the tank. It'll then get turned off, and providing they're drinking it fast enough, so if I've got a cat out here, I'll put it on the gravity fed rainwater. One, it's cheaper, and two, they actually like it better, they prefer it. The downside with the rainwater bit is because it's not treated, you have to be very careful with bugs and algae and stuff like that. So all those tanks are sealed shut, no light, well, the tiniest bit of light around the cracker where the pipe goes in. There's no light in there. If you have a drinking tank that's got light to it, you get all sorts of problems. So the water in the tanks is fine, it's only when it actually gets into the water troughs themselves that actually forms like a pink mold, which, you know, if they're not drinking it fast enough, it can get away with you. So it's a management thing, but we've always got the backup of mains water should we need it. But if the mains water for shut off for any reason, we've got the backup then again of what, 3,000 litres of fresh rainwater. Just nice to have the option. Look at that sky. Oh, one vapour trail. We're right over the main flight line here from Heathrow, Gatwick, out to the States. So usually the sky is crisscrossed with white lines. I wonder, is anybody, someone's got to be doing a study into the air quality and how it's changing with vastly reduced air traffic. I think pretty much reduced road traffic as well. What the difference is in air quality, how much has gone down, and also take into account that the farmers are still working, the cows are still farting and belching, and the differences it makes. And really and truly, this finger of blame being pointed at agriculture for greenhouse gases and global warming, when we all know most of it comes from up there, from all you fellas going off on your must have a holiday. I must go abroad and get some sun, can't possibly stay in the UK. You know, how much are you lot add into it? Don't blame us, it's not us. The bit we're making is feeding you. bit you're making is feeding nobody. Oh, maybe Richard Branson. He's getting fed. Well, my grass seeds arrived from Green Farm. I actually ordered this for last year, but it was so wet. There was no way we were going to get it. So this is to oversee the 10 acres of pigeon mead at the road, and this is what we're having. This is what's on the label. So some of you will know what this is, some of you will not. But this is basically a normal mix of grass seed, and I've had a bit of white clover sowed into it. It cost me an extra 40 quid to have the white clover sowed in or mixed in, but the ground up there, I just think, you know, a bit of nitrogen fixing, a bit of clover will hopefully help that. So this is going in, fingers crossed, Sunday morning, or Sunday anyway. And then next week, the week after, we've got lime and fertilizer going on. So depending on what the weather is, I'll try and get the drone on for that, so you'll see about that. So it's all being done by outside contractors because we don't have our own lime spreader and we don't have our own fertilizer spreader. For 30 acres, it's not worth buying a fertilizer spreader. So I've got a neighbour with all the kit and all the toys. He's going to come and do that for me. Same with most of it, actually. You know, it's a small farm. It's not worth our while spending thousands and thousands of pounds on machinery that spends most of its time sat in the shed doing nothing. So right, Matthew's up Pigeon Mead. He's finished slitting down here. We're going to nip up there and have a quick look at that, because that was wet. Last week when he tried it, couldn't even get the tractor out there, it was too wet, but I can hear it working now, so fingers crossed it's going well. What's it like out here? Not too bad. Shut up. So it's still plenty soft enough out here. I thought that was a bit of dirt, it wasn't. But it seems to be going okay. You've missed a strip there, Matthew. I might leave that strip if he doesn't do it and was do a comparison, you know, all the field, then the strip that was missed, just to have interest, unless of course he spots that he's missed it. So this was a new lay only 3 years ago, but with 2 years of drought, and then totally overgrazed one autumn. It didn't do it any good at all. So overseeding with that mix I just showed you, liming it and whacking some fertilizer on there, I'm hoping is going to do for the moss and actually get a crop of grass out here. Fingers crossed. Oh no, he knows he missed it. So we won't have a strip to compare then. Matthew busy for the rest of the afternoon, so I've got to go over to the other farm now, just open some gates, ready for the barn building contractors to come in next week. I need a compound to lock some stuff up in, so that's my job now. I was sorry to learn that our Prime Minister has gone down with the COVID-19 virus as well. On the behalf of many of your supporters, I would like to say, I hope you get over it soon, Boris. Get well soon, mate. You're doing a cracking job. And well, just get well soon. What a lovely day. Unfortunately, one of the bits of film that got corrupted on the camera last night was an entertaining bit of footage with my dog Biscuit. Samantha came home from work. She works in the local hospital, She looks after palliative care and physiotherapy and OT stuff, and no, she looks after our older generation. She came back, longish day, decided to go for a walk. Said she'd take the dogs with her, which she did. Only thing is, when she came back, my dog was not white anymore. Well, she was a bit white, but she was mostly black, and that black was well, yes, it was what the badger had for his breakfast the day before, after he'd gone through it. And yeah, so the gypsy, the collie, had found it apparently, so she'd had a good roll in it, and my dog took one look at it and thought that looked like a good idea, so she came back absolutely plastered. So although I can watch the video footage myself on my computer, I can't put it on. For some reason the editing software can't read it. I can get the volume off of it, but I can't get the picture, and I can't work out why. So if I do ever work that out, I'll put it up, but until then, you know, I've tried various bits of software to recover it. It's not happening. So yeah, so those of you who see my Instagram will have seen the photograph of her in the sink, lathered up, because she stank. But that might be a job when we get back later on, is put the trimmers over her. She needs a haircut, but I'll have to see if Mrs. P has charged them up, because her dog gets trimmed every 6-8 weeks. I haven't done Biscuit because she spends a lot of time out with me, and during the winter I think she needs her coat. But it's getting warmer. It is currently 13 degrees outside, Celsius that is. So I think Biscuit can have her coat off now. She looks completely different with her coat off. You'll see. We're in funky farmer territory now. He made it to BBC Points West today. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard he'd been on. I got a funny feeling someone's beat me to it. Yep. Looking at that, someone's definitely beat me to it. Okay. Well, that was a wasted journey. Never mind. Well, and have another quick look at the weight while I'm here. This big old slough. So we'll be making a start out here. I think it's Monday. We're out here. Basically, we got to clear a yard and sort out the footings for this new barn. So, which I am actually quite excited about. So, new barns, new kit, anything new on the farm is always exciting. So, yeah, looking forward to that, and you know, hopefully sharing the experience with you guys of the process of putting this thing up. So pretty much, I know some of it's still around. Drop of rain on there, that'll soon disappear. One or two have mentioned different ways of cracking up this pan. I don't know what the idea is, whether they're going to put a Cambridge roll over here, or if they're going to do anything, in fact, because the way it's actually breaking up at the moment, if it carries on like this, you know, I'd like to see 6 inches. You know, if the cracks are more than 6 inches or closer to 6 inches, it ain't quite so bad, because G6 exchange in the air in the ground, that will do. Obviously, more cracks the better. Little cracks. We don't want great big things. But yeah, so new barn, we'll be going right there soon. So genuinely excited about having this barn going up. It's been something that we've been discussing and talking about for a few months now. I mean, we only took the farm back off of our tenant very late last year. Everything was kind of short notice. We had noticed that the tenant was going to be leaving, and within 3 weeks we were planting wheat. So we've had no time to do any of the infrastructure or the maintenance or whatever else. All the ditches want doing, the drainage, as you know, wants doing. There's loads of work to be done. So I got a funny feeling that even though we're tiny little farmers compared to most, I mean, my 57 acres, I think there's about 100 that we've taken back off the one tenant. There's another 110, 120 which has got, somebody else has got. But with 157 that we've got to look after now, I still can't make a living at that, and my dad can't, but it's a start. You know, we'll get there. And I think farming is more and more important now, and hopefully after this virus epidemic, pandemic thing, countries, mainly our country right now, because that's my concern, will actually realise the importance of our own homegrown agriculture and the security that growing our own provides our population. I'm also hoping that the population realises all of a sudden that, you know, the security of what's on their plate, so much of it depends on ports, transport, world markets and stuff like that, that maybe they'll start looking in a little bit and, you know, realising the importance of what we can grow here, and that maybe fresh and seasonal stuff is good after all. Got so used to going to the supermarket and just, you know, it's taken for granted. Everybody takes for granted that they're not going to be hungry tomorrow. You know, they can wipe their bum tomorrow. But you know, maybe this will just kickstart for you to go, maybe.